freedom,
family,
world unity.
All these things and more will be discussed on this podcast.
Real stories, real people, real debates. On this podcast, we like to express our freedoms and talk about anything and everything goes.
Like freedom, family is important to us, and anybody that is listening, watching, or coming on the show as a guest star are all considered part of the greatest family to ever bless the solar system, the human race. No matter who you are, where you come from, you will always have a voice here on this podcast.
We like to flex our First Amendment, where all speeches and opinions are accepted for the right of freedom of speech. We have a saying we like to live by. Live life with eyes wide open. Being open-minded leads to true understanding of the world as it really is. Please, come, join us, and enjoy this experience as we embark on this journey of truth as we dismantle the subjective truth. I'm your host, Nick.
And I'm your co-host, Victoria.
And you're experiencing high consciousness.
Disclaimer. Any and all information on topics presented are to the best of all who is present in each episode's knowledge. The goal of this podcast is to bring people together and set the example we all wish to see in our everyday lives. Whether it's home life, education, politics, history, business, etc. Any and all subjects can and will be talked and peacefully debated about on this podcast. On debate episodes, there will be a set rules of debate that hosts and guests alike must follow. We ask that you, the audience, like we ask of our guests, in the comments to please try to keep the language as clean as possible. We are a podcast for entertainment as well as educational purposes. Here we are all equal no matter what race, age, or gender. Thank you, and enjoy the show.
Hi, y'all.
Hey, y'all. Welcome to High Consciousness.
I'm your host, Nicholas.
And I'm your co-host, Victoria, and we are
High Consciousness. So, recap on the last chapter of The Secret Destiny of America was about the ancient Mayans and how they were the most advanced ancient civilization in recorded history. When we found out, they were the first ones to learn about the stars. They had their own calendar, their own language, where it was a perfect way of expressing emotion and thought. Yes, and thought. That's how complex their language was. And
it was more complex than Chinese. Like, try to wrap your head around that one. I can't.
And we dove into their mythology, which was their god of Quetzalcoatl. Did I pronounce that correctly? I believe.
Quetzalcoatl, yeah.
Okay, so I did better on the last episode there.
you did better than the last episode, yeah.
But how he came from the Atlantic Ocean on a sea of serpents and taught him this knowledge, and that he would one day come back to rule his country, and then. Fast forward in time, the Spaniard Cortez with the it's the bird. It's
the plume.
The plume.
No, he had a plume his crown.
Yeah, but the plume was the same type of bird that it was like the.
No, that was Quetzalcoatl's crown. Quetzalcoatl's crown was
the
crown
what I'm saying is that the feather
bird.
was the same. The plume was the same plume as Quetzalcoatl's feather from the serpent. Or
the Quetzal bird.
The Quetzal bird is what I was trying to say, yeah. So, by mistake, the Mayan king gave up the kingdom to Cortez. But, weirdly enough, though, the Mayans also disappeared. So, during that time frame...
It's like, did the Spanish conquistadors, wipe them out? Or...
Well, we know that they burned down...
Mayans kind of, go into hiding after they figured out, oh, crap, we done did a mistake.
But that's just one of the questions that dawned upon us. But back to Quetzalcoatl, he was paralleled of one of the dying gods from Greece, Italy, and
Greece, Chaldea, Egypt. Let's see. Let's look back in the reference book real quick.
Right here.
So the legend of Quetzalcoatl was thus parallel with the myth of the dying god, very much as in Egypt, Chaldea, Greece, and expressed by the early Christian church.
So, a lot of interesting stuff.
Yeah.
And today's chapter, what we're diving into today, Because I read last chapter, and so today is only Miss Victoria's turn to read.
Chapter 13. Ironically enough, it's my lucky number. And this chapter is quite a big doozy, so without further ado, let's get into it. Whew. Bacon's secret society is set up in America. Men bound... Oh, the prologue here. Prologue text. Men bound by a secret oath to labor in the cause of world democracy decided that in the American colonies they would plant the roots of a new way of life. Brotherhoods were established to meet secretly. They quietly and industriously conditioned America to its destiny for leadership in a free world. Benjamin Franklin exercised an enormous psychological influence in the colonial politics as the appointed spokesman of the Unknown Philosophers. He did not make laws, but his words became law. Ooh. So, moving along with the reading. Whew. This chapter makes me a little nervous. Colonization of the Western Hemisphere was largely motivated in the desire to pillage the fabulous treasures of the New World. The explorers, led on by legends of hoards of gold and silver and palaces encrusted with jewels, formed expeditions, often financed from their own purses, but sometimes subsidized by the state. The Spanish were the most successful in their quest for riches. The majority of the other adventurers profited little and suffered much, and it soon became apparent that only by sober colonization was any sizable reward to be gained in the New World. For the proclamation of the Christian faith, which proclamation, I had to look up that word, it just means to officially declare or to officially announce or I guess to officially establish, something like that. The Western Hemisphere offered to the proclamation of the Western faith,
of the Christian faith.
I'm getting my words mixed up.
Yes, you are.
For the proclamation of the Christian faith, the Western Hemisphere offered virgin territory. With the conquistadors came priests, eager to convert pagan tribes and nations to the faith of the Old World. A holy inquisition was set up in New Spain, and Indians by the tens of thousands were tortured and killed for the good of their immortal souls. Man, Christianity is so messed up sometimes. And this is just Spanish Christianity, where they're just going around, killing people because it's either choose monotheism or die. That's just the way it was.
The Spanish Inquisitors, yes.
The Spanish Inquisition. Oh, it's just horrible what, humanity has done to itself and each other time and time again. It's just monstrous. It was due to the zeal of the priests that the libraries of the Mayans were burned and their historical records were destroyed. To this day, there stands in Merida, on the peninsula of the Yucatan, the house of the conquistador Montejo. Over the door of this house are the heraldic arms of this Spanish adventurer. The shield and crest are upheld by Spanish soldiers standing on the heads of tortured and enslaved Mayan Indians. Come on, that's messed up, bro. But there again, that was back in, the 15 and 1400s and stuff. But still, it's so messed up. Reasonably accurate accounts of the natural advantages and resources of the Americas were in time brought back by the explorers and adventurers who had opened the new territories of the West. And only then did the European nations give serious consideration to actual development of their newly acquired colonial empires. The French, the Dutch, and the English entered upon programs of establishing permanent settlements along the Atlantic seaboard. The English program was under the direction of Sir Francis Bacon, and it was his genius that gave purpose to the enterprise. Bacon quickly realized that here in the New World was the proper environment for the accomplishment of his great dream, the establishment of the philosophic empire. It must be remembered that Bacon did not play a lone hand. He was the head of a secret society, including in its membership the most brilliant intellectuals of his day. So, Lord Bacon is just getting his idea of turning America into what it was from Plato and Plutarch, in the whole treatise of Atlantis, and how he wrote the works of New Atlantis, as we discovered, I think, in chapter 11. It might have been 11 or 12. I think it was 11, though. I think it was another chapter that I read. It could have been that one. Mm-hmm. But, anyway, it's just wow. He... Not only was he kind of the whole spearhead of the entire development of America as a philosophic empire and bringing his new Atlantis to life here, but he was also the head of a secret society as well. Whew. So that's pretty powerful stuff right there. Seeing how much secret societies had literally built the world civilization and the democracies all across here, including here in America itself.
All these men
were bound together by a common oath to labor in the cause of a world democracy. Bacon's Society of the Unknown Philosophers included men of high rank and broad influence. Together with Bacon, they devised the colonization scheme. So, again, they devised the entire thing. Wow. Word was passed about through secret channels that here in the Western Hemisphere was the promised land of the future. Here, men of right purpose, not high purpose, right purpose, whatever that means. Here, men of right purpose could build a new way of life, free from the religious intolerance and the political despotism that held Europe in its clutches. The history books tell us that the colonists made a long and dangerous journey in small ships in order to find a place where they could worship God, each according to the dictates of his own conscience. There is, however, much more to the story than our historians have dared to suggest. Ooh. So, even in 1944, Manly P. Hall is sitting here telling us in this book, which, again, it was written in 1944, that even back then they're trying to hide some of our history, and that not everything that we learn in school is
true,
factually correct or true. It might be just a fraction of the story, or it might be a false version of the story with the truth sprinkled in somewhere in between.
A fabrication. So to say.
Or a fabrication like that, yeah. That's crazy. Even in 1944, they were trying to hide stuff from us. Man, and it's 2024, 80 years later, how much do you think they've probably hidden from us?
A lot more than you think.
This is why I said, this chapter's making me nervous.
Well, we gotta get through because all it's talking about is just history, though.
Yeah, it's I just want to get through it as fast as possible.
We are. We're gonna make it through it.
Among the colonizers were some who belonged to the Order of the Quest, but it was not long before religious strife broke out in the colonies, for men do not change their natures merely by changing their place of habitation. Much of the intolerance of the old world came over to plague the beginnings of the new civilization. It was not easy to preserve high principles in a pioneering country. A lot had to be done before the philosophic empire could emerge out of the simple struggle for existence. And much has yet to be accomplished. We are still pioneering in the sphere of right thinking and right living. Meaning living, morally right. And, all that stuff. Living the good ways, being a good person, living the right way kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Bacon's secret society was set up in America before the middle of the 17th century. Bacon himself had given up all hope of bringing his dream to fruition in his own country. When he concentrated his attention upon rooting it in the New World, he made He made sure that the American colonists were thoroughly indoctrinated with the principles of religious tolerance, political democracy, and social equality. Though through carefully appointed representatives, the machinery of democracy was set up at least 100 years before the period of the Revolutionary War. So that's 100 years before. Bacon's secret society membership was not limited to England. It was most powerful in Germany, France, and in the Netherlands, and most of the leaders of European thought were involved in the vast pattern of his purpose. So, maybe that might be the reason why France gave us the Statue of Liberty, because of Bacon and how he was tied to, or he was like the head member of this secret order that stretched all the way out to France, to Germany, and to the Netherlands.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that possibly could be one of those things? Like, maybe that's the reason why France gave the Statue of Liberty to us?
Mm-hmm. I believe so.
The mystic empire of the wise had no national boundaries, and its citizenry was made up of men of good purpose in every land. The alchemists, Kabbalists, mystics, and Rosicrucians were the incisive instruments of Bacon's plan. Wow. So that's 1 secret society, 2 secret society, 3 secret society, 4. And then Bacon, 5.
Mm-hmm.
So that's at least 5 secret societies that all like came together to create the perfect like petri dish for America, for our civilization and philosophic empire to begin.
Yep. It's crazy, right?
That's freaking nuts, bro. Nuts. Wow. Representatives of these groups migrated to the colonies at an early date and set up their organization in suitable places. One example will indicate the trend. About 1690, so 1690, the German pious theologian Magister Johannes Kelpius sailed for America with a group of followers, all whom practiced mystical and esoteric rites. The pious settled in Pennsylvania, and their descendants still flourish in Lancaster County. Kelpius, for some years lived as an anchorite in a cave located in what is now Fairmount Park, Philadelphia. The pious brought with them the writings of the German mystic Jacob Boehme. I think it's Boehme. Boehme. Boehme? I don't know. Boehme. I'll just say Boehme. Or
like
Boehme, maybe.
I was thinking,
Jacob Boehme.
I'm
gonna call him Boehme, like that guy from Avatar: The Last Airbender. Boehme. Jacob Boehme. I'm sorry if that's not how you really say it, but I don't know how to say it, so I apologize. But hey, let's make it fun. Jacob Boehme. Hey. Okay.
Books on magic.
The pious brought with them the writings of German mystic Jacob Boehme, books on magic, astrology, alchemy, and the Kabbalah. They had curious manuscripts illuminated with strange designs, and their principal text was called an ABC book for the young students studying in the College of the Holy Ghost. The pious brought the Order of the Mustard Seed and the Order of the Women in the Wilderness to the New World. The Order of the Women in the Wilderness?
In the wilderness.
And the Order of the Mustard Seed?
We need mustard.
Wait. Isn't there a whole like Bible verse in the Bible, something about a mustard seed?
Look it up. Maybe.
That's curious. Well, let's see.
Excuse us, y'all. We're going to take a look see real quick on our own little curiosity.
about a mustard seed.
There it is right there. Seed of faith.
Oh, a seed of faith.
Matthew 17:20.
And he said to them, go ahead if you want to read it.
And he said to them, because of the littleness of your faith, for truly I say to you, if you have faith the size of a mustard seed, you will say to this mountain, move from here to there, and it will move, and nothing will be impossible to you.
Ah, okay. So I guess that's where, the secret orders and religion, like he's telling us there, it all comes together. Because all these secret society, or all these men of secret societies were still all religious type kind of men, but they were also free-thinking men.
Mm-hmm. They didn't think inside the book, they thought outside of the book. Type deal.
I want to see women in the...
Wilderness. Order of the
women.
Yes.
Ooh. Well, yeah, well...
Wilderness.
Yeah, that's the way you spell it. English is weird. Is it women or woman? Ah, woman. It is woman. Okay, something from Revelations about it. It originates from Revelation in the Bible. Describes a woman where she flees to the wilderness where she's cared for by God for 1,260 days. It mentions a dragon pursuing her and her being given wings of a great eagle to escape to safety. This is to interpret symbolically. Wow, okay. Well, again, the Rosicrucians were part of the Roman Catholic Church, I believe. So, I mean, obviously the internet's not really going to give us anything other than freaking Revelations when I didn't ask for it.
But that's as close as we're going to get.
That's as close as we're going to get. But again, this is where, our religious stuff is always tied to
the
everything.
Secret societies.
Like it's tied to the secret societies, and through these religious practices, it's also where we get our politics and our policies. So it's like we can say politics and religion are two different things, but in reality, when you get to the deep root of it and find out where it all stemmed from, well, it turns out that potentially the foundations, or like the building blocks, I guess,
mm-hmm.
of religion, like, created our laws and legislation and all that. Like, that's where it all, like,
came from.
Seeded from, I guess. It was the mustard seed that it came from.
I guess you could say that in a cookie shell.
Yeah, in a nutshell.
Mm-hmm. Nutshell.
So that's... I mean, here I was sitting here thinking that, politics and, all that was just... Politics and religion were two entirely different things, but it turns out, according to this book at least, they're not at all. They're very, very much so intertwined. Talk about a mind meld. Brain melt. A brain melt. A brain dump. Anyway, so Kelpius was a man of feeble health, and after a few years died from the hardships and exposures of his religious austerity. The inner circle of his order was composed entirely of celibates, meaning people that don't marry, and they are abstinent, or they do not perform sexual activity or intercourse with anyone. And so they were entirely of celibates, and these died, and as these died, there were none to take their places. So as far as the public knows, his secret society did not survive. Actually, it did continue, but with the changing of the times, it returned again to its secret foundations, disappearing entirely from the public view. Again, the secret societies, just like with the rise of Christianity, the pagan secret society philosophers had to go completely into hiding and even take up new cloaks just to remain invisible to still do what they're going to do. So maybe that potentially means that one of the celibate members decided not to be celibate anymore, or maybe they taught like new students, younger men that they might have prospected maybe, and just told them like, yo, don't tell anybody. Maybe that's
kind of hard to do.
That's kind of like my theory. Because, how else, like, if all those guys died and they were all celibates and they didn't have any sons or daughters to carry on the name or the order or the knowledge, then the only other way that it survived is if one of them, before the last one died, decided, to flip a switch and either carry on a lineage of his own after promoting, himself to be a celibate person of this order, or he went and found maybe another group of boys and trained them in the philosophic ways of their order so that it could again continue.
Maybe. That's a lot of trust.
This is back in let's see, if this is 1690 that we're talking about, that's 100 years before our colonies were established and stuff. And as far as we know, Ben Franklin, Thomas Jefferson, John Hancock, and all of them, were all a bunch of men and strangers to each other, and they all had similar ideals, so they all decided to get together and write up, our Declaration of Independence and stuff after they got together and fought a big war to get England off our back, finally. So, there's a lot to consider here. There's a lot to think about.
Continue reading, though.
But, moving along with the reading, because we're almost done. The early years of the 18th century brought with them many changes in the social and political life of the American colonies. By this time, most of the Atlantic seaboard was dominated by the English. Cities had sprung up, important trade flourished with the mother country, and the colonial atmosphere was in small counterpart that of the English countryside. By this time, most of the important secret societies of Europe were well represented in this country, meaning here in America. They were English, secret societies were already well established and represented here by that time. Wow. The brotherhoods met in their rooms over inns and similar public buildings, practicing their ancient rituals exactly according to the fashion in Europe and England. These American organizations were branches under European sovereignty, with the members in the two hemispheres bound together with the strongest bonds of sympathy and understanding. The program that Bacon had outlined was working out and according to schedule. Quietly and industriously, America was being conditioned for its destiny, leadership in a free world. Any account of the secret societies in America would have to include tribute to the man who has been called the first American gentleman, Benjamin Franklin. Although Dr. Franklin was never the country's president nor a military general, he stands out as one of the most important figures in the struggle for American independence. Quiet, dignified, scholarly, and gentle, Franklin foresaw a new goal for an ever-changing world through the square bifocal glasses of which he was the inventor. Which apparently, he was the inventor of spectacle glasses. That's really cool.
Oh, really? That's why that was so popular when he's the only guy you see with the glasses.
Yeah, because he was literally the inventor of glasses. Spectacle glasses did not exist until Benjamin Franklin invented them. Yeah. You didn't know that?
I didn't know that.
Historians have never ceased to wonder at the enormous psychological influence which Franklin exercised in colonial politics. But up to the present day, few indeed are those who have realized that the source of his power lay in the secret societies to which he belonged, and of which he was the appointed spokesman. So not only did he belong to these secret societies, but he was like...
the spokesman of them.
He was like the dude that, like, he went out in front of the press pretty much. Like, if we had to apply it to modern day, he's the one that goes out and talks to the press all the time.
Yeah, press secretary.
Yeah. Franklin was not a lawmaker, but his words became law. Beneath the homely wisdom in which he circulated in his almanac under the pseudonym of Poor Richard, as a profundity of scientific and philosophic learning. He understood both the farmer and the philosopher and could speak the languages of both. When Benjamin Franklin went to France to be honored by the state, he was received too by the Lodge of Perfection, the most famous of all the French secret orders, and his name, written in his own fine hand, is in their record ledger, close to that of the Marquis de Lafayette. Franklin spoke for the Order of the Quest, and most of the men who worked with him in the early days of the American Revolution were also members. The plan was working out. The new Atlantis was coming into being in accordance with the program laid down by Francis Bacon 150 years earlier. The rise of American democracy was necessary to a world program. At the appointed hour, the freedom of man was publicly declared. And that's the end of chapter 13.
America. America.
Really?
Uh-huh.
We're gonna go Team America on this one?
Heck yeah.
No, we're not doing that. We're not doing that. No.
Oh,
so that's really interesting.
The mother freaking world, yeah, America. Heck yeah. They're gonna save the...
Dude.
But this was Team America.
I know, but it has so many cuss words, and we are trying to be like family friendly here, bro.
And I censored it.
Bro, you can't understand half the song if you censor it.
Go Team America. Heck yeah. Always going to save the mother freaking world, yeah, America. Mother trucking world, yeah, America.
Oh my goodness.
Heck yeah.
Can we stop?
But it's Team America.
Can we get back on topic?
It's about Team America, though.
I know, but like, okay, so
it's
like the part that interests,
and it's part of Team America.
The part that interests me the most is that secret societies have been around for, at least 3,000 years. So it goes back, at least to and before the time of Christ.
Uh-huh.
Not only that, but like they've been going in and out of hiding and taking up cloak after cloak after cloak after cloak, one after another, moving across the world and
changing
literally
their names and literally changing the perspective and modifying their plan, but keeping in modernization with the times.
Mm-hmm.
It's very interesting stuff.
Yeah, it's like
and they have a lot to offer and not to offer.
I mean,
how much are they willing to offer though? That's why I say they have a lot to offer, but not to offer.
I mean, there's plenty of knowledge and wisdom to be offered, but wealth and power is also one of those things. But of course, wealth, power, and knowledge all have to come at a price. It always does.
Yeah, humiliation. Your humiliation, your soul, your very essence of your being.
Yeah.
How much are you willing to give up for knowledge? That's what secret society will ask of you.
I'm not willing to give up. I'm not really willing to give up a whole lot. I'm better off learning on my own. Thank you.
They're only willing to give as much as you're willing to take, or, they're willing to give as much as you're willing for them to take from you. That kind of equivalent
take
exchange.
What you give what you take.
The words of the Full Metal Alchemist. Equivalent exchange.
Yep. That's a really good anime, Full Metal Alchemist. Mm-hmm. Hardly anybody, hasn't watched that. At least in my opinion. Who hasn't watched Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood?
You'd be surprised. Oh, excuse me. You'd be quite surprised, actually.
Well, that's a very interesting show. Very interesting. It goes into all kinds of, how one of our secret societies, the Alchemists, pops up. Mm-hmm. And you have pretty much all of the Full Metal, you have everybody that is part of, the police and whatnot. They're all alchemists. They all have, this specific power and whatnot. And then, of course, you have our main character, Edward, and he's, broken. He's got so many different powers, and, he could do so many things with it. It's not even funny.
Mm-hmm.
He's so overpowered.
But anyways, y'all. I hope y'all join us in the next episode.
And if you're new here, we hope you liked the video. And if you made it this far, please give us a like, a subscribe on YouTube, and give us a like and a follow on Rumble, so that way you are always notified whenever we drop a new video. We are on Truth Social, Facebook, X, former Twitter, and we're on Facebook, Truth Social, Twitter.
Oh, she had a brain fart. I'm having a brain fart, y'all. Beep, beep, beep.
There's too many apps, bro. I can't keep up anymore. We are on X, Rumble, YouTube, Facebook, and...
What's the fifth one? Dang it.
Ditto.
Crash. Error, yeah.
Crash.
But what's the next chapter we're reading? Well, I'm going to be reading this time around.
Our next chapter is...
A philosophy written...
A prophecy.
A prophecy written in the year of Washington's birth.
Ooh. So, is it a prophecy about our forefather's birth, our first president's birth? Or about the things that he does after his birth? Who knows? We'll find out on the next episode.
And please, leave a comment, too.
Yep, always leave a comment, and questions.
Yes.
If y'all have any questions, please leave them in the comments below. I'm always looking. Leave them in the comments. Bye, y'all, and thank you, and have a blessed day. Thank you for all the support, and remember to live life with eyes wide open. Thanks, and enjoy y'all's day.